Well folks, it's episode 53 of Ask the Knight. Now before I get to this week's round of questions, a couple of users have been making highlights of the fact that there's a little bit of squeaking going on in the background, and that is due to the office chair that I've got. Now, I do have another chair available, but it's just an old dining room chair, and it's not as mobile or as comfortable as this thing. So I'm going to look to see if a little WD-40 might help it in places. If not, I'm just going to look to the future and actually get myself a brand new office chair. I do read your comments, people, and I do take note of it, so thank you for highlighting that out for me. Now let's get on with the questions. And we've got one from the Co92, one of my best subscribers. Thanks for the questions, buddy. His question: there are people going around and saying that DC Comics make their superheroes unlikable these days. What is your response to that? I think with situations like this, it's all just down to personal taste. Now, you're always going to get some people that will say Marvel make their superheroes unlikable. This is easily pointed out with things like One More Day and Civil War, but the less I get into that, the better. It depends on the writers, who's writing them, and you know what particular direction that the editor of Marvel Comics wants the characters specifically to go into. It's a bit of a tough question, really, when you think about it. Again, I think it just comes back to writing. It depends what writers you've got doing it, because if you get a sloppy writer writing for a very popular comic book character, then chances are they're not going to do it as good as someone else. Hope that answers your question, by the way. We have one from the Prez, the main presenter of the Raw Down Rebound G2 crew. How are you doing today, good sir? His question: what was the best vacation you ever went on? I can answer that quite easily. My vacation to Los Angeles in October 2012, where I not only attended the Knight Rider Reunion convention, awesome event by the way, but it was just the experience for me, knowing that I actually went to America, because that had been a dream of mine since my pre-double digits. Because I grew up on things like Turtles, Ghostbusters back in the day, and I was always intrigued by America. And when I was actually out there, the people were so nice, so welcoming, warm and friendly, that when it got to the end of my vacation at the end of the week, I didn't want to come home. That is legit, straight up. I did not want to leave Los Angeles. I thought it was where I was in downtown LA, a bunch of real great people, including one girl that served me my coffee in Starbucks, who I was very surprised to hear that she was a huge fan of EastEnders. Now, I'm not one for EastEnders, it's not my thing. No hate, it's just not my thing, but to hear of someone on that far side of the world being interested in British soap operas, it was a little bit surreal. You know, again, no hate. And the food, oh my goodness, I enjoyed the food over there. To be able to walk into a 7-Eleven and pick up and see freshly cooked slices of pizza, hot dogs, corn dogs, chicken, and the cola flavors that they had over there that we didn't get back that we haven't had reinstalled till recently, or just had, things like cherry Pepsi, vanilla cola. The only ones I never tried out there was mango Pepsi and cappuccino Pepsi. Whether it's a good thing I didn't try those, that remains to be seen, but I think it was just the overall general experience of being out in Los Angeles. It's something I will never trade for anything. And that's straight up legit. Hope that answers your question, Prez. And Question 3. Worst movie you ever saw? Oh, no. You don't want me to answer this. The list is too long. One of which being at near the top or being at the top is 2006 Miami Vice. Good lord, that movie was awful. Now, I will give Jamie Foxx major props as playing Ricardo Tubbs, because in the TV series, Ricardo did very little to no talking at all, played everything cool, very precise, always, you know, analysing the situation, and Jamie Foxx played that brilliantly. But this has to be said, who told Colin Farrell he could be Sonny Crockett? Now, I've only seen a handful of episodes of Miami Vice, but Don Johnson had style, charisma, and just a likeable personality. But Colin Farrell, now to be fair, Colin was just going with the material that he was given. But they should have given him better material, because Colin can be really animated and full of life with, you know, with I forget the role he played in Daredevil, and I think at this stage I think he'd like to forget it as well. But the role he played in Daredevil was very charismatic, very, I wouldn't say larger than life, but he had energy. In this movie, he has no energy. He was just very bland, lifeless, and the movie itself was just so unlikable. That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I thought Superhero Movie was just as bad. There were some likable moments. I did like the fact that I forget the actor that played Stryker in the Airplane movie, and also voiced Iron Man in the animated series from, I think it was in 1995 that he voiced Iron Man, but he was probably just in that movie just to pick up a paycheck. You know, I'm not trying to be hurtful or anything, but I think, you know, that's just all he was there for. And having Leslie Nielsen there, yeah, Leslie Nielsen had some good material to work with for him, but even he couldn't save that movie. And I went to watch that movie, I think was it 2008 I saw that. I went in there purely because I was bored, and I'm kinda regretting watching that, because I came out thinking I paid to see this. Ugh. The only other movie I don't think of another movie, because I try to forget bad movies that I've seen, because it's just one of those things, like, you know, I'd rather not remember them, because then it just brings up painful images like Miami Vice. I was never keen on Looper. You know, it had some thought-provoking ideas, but the pacing and the characterization and just the story itself was just dull and depressing. I mean, I will give Joseph Gordon-Levitt props. He managed to mimic Bruce Willis's mannerisms and just like these little other little quirks that Willis would do as the older version of his character. But then again, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of the best actors this world has ever seen. You need only look at something like The Dark Knight Rises as Lieutenant Blake, and you know, the guy is just so likable to see on screen, and even he couldn't do justice for this movie, no pun intended. Pity we didn't get to see him as Batman, because I think he would have done alright. I really do. But yeah, those are like the worst movies I've ever seen. As for a list of the best movies I've ever seen, that list is probably equally as long as worst movies I've ever seen, but as I've stated beforehand, I like to try and forget bad movies I've seen. So with that, we come to the end of another episode of Ask the Knight, and you know the routine by now. Send a question to one of the social media links in the outro, leave it in the comments section below, or leave it at the wonderful forum that is the MJ Knight TV forum, the mjknighttv.freeforums.net. We'd love to have you there, people, but until then, ask again.